Alright, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is Grieving Dad Kept a Camera in His Daughter's Coffin. When he turned it on at night, he was terrified. Alright, let's check it out. Let's see where this takes us, guys.
It was a dark and depressing day for Tristan as he buried his daughter. He said his final goodbyes, and the coffin was lowered into the ground.
Okay.
That night, he decided to access the camera in the coffin. What he saw terrified him. The day Leila was buried, it seemed the world itself wept for losing such a young and beautiful soul. The sun was low in the sky, and it was without clouds. Everyone could feel the depressing atmosphere that enveloped the cemetery. Tristan, her adoptive father, stood beside the small coffin. It was opened so he could see her face, and as he gazed at her lying still, he couldn't stop the tears that burned through his eyelids. She looked so beautiful and at peace that it was difficult to remember that she had once been a bubbly and lively girl until that ghastly accident that had claimed her life. He reached into the coffin and gently caressed Leila's hair. She always loved it when he ran his fingers through them and twirled them in his fingers. As this painful memory burned through his mind, his legs buckled beneath him and he fell to his knees. Amy, his wife, hurried up beside him and gently took him in her arms. As he wept profusely, he begged for Leila's forgiveness for failing to take care of her. The other mourners watched as the couple grieved and tried to comfort each other. When Tristan finally managed to get himself back under control, he got to his feet and looked at his daughter one more time.
I'm going to say, listen, if you were not the actual being that caused this life to end, I cannot say it is your fault 100%. All right? If that helps at all, because
she was being buried with her favorite doll, Lolly, and her tiny hands were clasped around it possessively. He finally stepped away, holding on to Amy's hand as the coffin was latched shut, before being slowly lowered into the ground. Soon after, the other mourners left, escaping the harsh sun. Even Amy went home after a while, but Tristan remained. He sat on a nearby fresh grass and began reminiscing on the past. Little Leila had changed his life in an incredible way, and he would never be able to thank her enough for it. Before she came into his life, Tristan had been the typical adrenaline junkie. He was always looking out for the next thrill and the next hot spots to visit. There was no club, hotel, or restaurant in the city that had not been graced by Tristan's patronage. He went on expensive cruises and made it a duty to live his life for as much fun as he could. He found all this easy to do because he was the only son of billionaire parents who had him pretty late in life and had died when he was in his late 20s. He didn't just inherit money and assets from them, he also inherited investments that were paying him so much dividends on a daily basis, so that he didn't have to work for a single thing in his life. And Tristan took that to heart. Seeing as there was so much money, he didn't see the need to work for anything. He lived life lavishly with his best friend Zach. He was quick to spend and give money out, and as a result, he was always surrounded by people who claimed to be his friends.
bro, is everybody a model?
His life started to change the day Zach got married to his pregnant fiancée and chose to lead a new life. Tristan didn't like this, but he wished Zach well and continued with what he did best. 3 years later, Tristan met Amy, and it was love at first sight for the duo. She reciprocated his energy so much that it was impossible for him to see himself with another woman. She loved to party just like him. She loved visiting exotic places, and she was also a fan of shopping sprees. The day Tristan got married was the happiest day of his life, and he didn't fail to let the world know this. No expense was spared in bringing Amy's dream wedding to life. It was one of the most expensive weddings, and it was featured on news networks and blogs. Amy had never been so happy in her life. The new couple settled into married life and continued as they used to. It was business as usual, jetting off from one continent to the other, seeking thrills and having fun. Even married, they still frequented clubs and hotels, living.
What I like about this so far, though, at least, is someone who seems to have every single thing going for them in the world still takes their time out to adopt a child. I think that there are way too many children in state care, and if you can, you probably should, but we should also try to make adopting actually affordable. Right, because in the United States of America, adoptions are absolutely wildly priced, and they shouldn't be. If they're set up to help the child, they shouldn't really be that like $100,000 plus, guys. It really shouldn't be that much money to adopt. But all right, let's go.
Living their best lives. However, one night, Tristan got a call that shattered them to pieces. Zach and his wife had been involved in a ghastly accident, claiming their lives on the spot.
Wow.
In just 1 second, Leila, their young daughter, became an orphan. Zach had no other family that could take her in, and Tristan was Leila's godfather, so he decided to adopt and raise her as his own.
Okay.
He spoke to Amy about this, and she readily agreed. It wasn't an
I mean, listen, that's mandatory. Like, once you're given godfather status, yeah.
option to let his best friend's child be placed into an orphanage when he could help. From the moment he made the decision to take her in, his life and mindset changed. That very moment, he realized that he was now a father and he had someone who would be looking up to him. He needed to live an exemplary life, one that was worthy of emulation. He decided to cut back on all the parties and traveling, so he could focus on taking care of Leila. However, things didn't go as smoothly as he had hoped. The loss of her parents hit the little girl hard. Every night she woke up screaming at the top of her lungs for her mom. During the day, she remained locked up in her room, refusing to eat or even to come out. Tristan was at a loss for what to do. He didn't know the first thing about parenting, and Amy wasn't any help either. Whenever he asked her for help, she always made up an excuse that she had something else to do. About 6 months after Zach's death, Leila fell extremely ill. It was so bad that she was admitted to the hospital for over a month. Tristan was ready to do everything he could to make sure she had a sound recovery. Leila had the best doctors working on her, and he also hired a child therapist. Eventually, she began to recover. By the time she left the hospital, she smiled for the first time at Tristan and let him hold her hand as he took her home. He had come every day at the hospital and stayed for as long as the staff let him. He had really been there for her in a way that had made her feel safe. For the first time since her parents' death, she didn't feel alone. After that, she became more free when she was with him. She ate well and returned to school. On the anniversary of Zach and his wife's death, Tristan took her out for a treat. He bought a robotic doll for her. The doll's right eye was a camera, and it recorded everything it saw and stored it on the cloud, which could be accessed by his phone. The moment she saw it, she loved it. He then used pieces of clothes belonging to Zach and his wife to make a dress for the doll.
Okay.
He told Leila that no matter where she went or what she was doing, as long as she had the doll with her, her parents would always be with her.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about the fact that you put a camera inside of a doll, and at any moment of the day you can kind of just access that camera. It's a little odd, personally.
She was never alone. She named the doll Lolly and thanked him profusely for the gift. Now that Tristan was no longer
did Tristan tell the kid, like, hey, listen, that's a camera in it?
Living a life of constant partying, he realized he had more time on his hands. So he decided to go into real estate and expand his late father's assets and investments. He had wasted his early years, but with Leila in his life, he was able to prioritize and grow up. However, Amy didn't like this change. She missed her old life dearly. She wanted them to continue traveling, going to clubs, and having fun, but Tristan wasn't interested in anymore. Amy even suggested that they hire a live-in nanny to take care of Leila, so they could enjoy themselves. Tristan saw the idea as ludicrous. There was no way they could live the rest of their lives seeking thrills and having fun. They were adults, and they needed to get serious with life. When she kept pestering him to return to his old life, he advised her to get a job as well. He assured her that if she had
she left him. I'm going to guess. Why would you tell her that?
Something to do, she would not be so keen to waste money like that. It was at that point that Amy knew that Tristan wasn't going to return to his old self for her. He was already dedicated to Leila's welfare, and anything that would jeopardize it was not going to be tolerated.
Right, he stepped into the role of a father. That's what he did. As soon as he got her, he stepped into the role of a father. Was that fair to the woman that he married? I don't know. Maybe she just really wasn't ready for that. It happened randomly, and he took custody of a child, and now he, in fact, is a father. She wasn't prepared for that.
Tristan continued to be the best father he could to Leila. His joy knew no bounds when he found out that Amy was also trying her best for the little girl. He knew then and there that he had never loved Amy more than he loved her at that moment. Everyone was happy, and life
Okay, so she came around.
It was so simple for them, until tragedy struck a deadly blow. Tristan had been inspecting a real estate he was planning to buy when he got the heart-wrenching call from Amy. Leila had been involved in an accident. Tristan drove like a bat out of hell to the hospital. He prayed all
Bro, how? What type of accident?
the gods he could think of to save his little girl. Sadly, by the time he got to the hospital, Leila had given up the ghost. That night, Tristan cried to the high heavens until his voice became hoarse. He wept until there were no more tears in his eyes. All he could do was blame himself for not taking better care of her and saving her. The accident had happened at home. According to Amy, who was there when it happened, Leila had been playing with one of her balls when it rolled onto the road. She ran after it without looking. She never even saw the car that hit her. And now she existed only in his memory. Feeling depressed, Tristan sat against the tombstone as he looked up at the sky.
Like, this is one of the things that I've always told my kids, blatantly. If a ball rolls into the street, you leave it. You come and you'll go get an adult, right? Because these type of things do happen, unfortunately. But also, as a driver, you're, depending on what state you're in, you're pretty much told also, if you see a ball rolling into the street, expect a kid to be following it, right? I mean, but obviously not everyone is paying attention while driving, unfortunately, right? But if you see a ball rolling out into the street, just expect in your head that there's a kid right behind it chasing it.
The sun had set and dusk was setting in. It was getting late, but he still could not work up the energy to get up and go home. He kept blaming himself for not being more present for her. If he had not gone on that inspection, he would have been home to stop her from playing that ball into the street. If he never bought her the ball in the first place, she would have never played with it at all.
Yeah. Oh no, bro, that's too much for you to hold on to, right? You under no circumstance can you go through life thinking that is your fault. You bought her a toy. Unfortunately, the worst of the worst literally happened, but because you purchased that ball, it is absolutely not your fault.
Over and over, he apologized to Leila, and then to Zach and his wife. He had failed their entire family. As darkness settled in, he took out his phone to check the time. As he fiddled with it, he decided to watch Leila's last moments. He went on the cloud and retrieved the last video recorded by Lolly. The most recent video he saw showed when Leila was lying in state and everyone was paying their last respect. Tristan watched everyone come to say their final goodbyes. However, when it got to Amy's turn, he felt a big thump in his chest as if he had been kicked by a horse. Amy had leaned into the coffin, her face filling up the screen as she whispered some chilling words. "You should have never come here, Leila. Serves you right."
It was all a ploy. Bro, that is a crazy twist, all right? But a little expected, right? I mean, he did alter her life in a way that was absolutely crazy. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it is all actually her fault. It is all Amy's fault. All of it. She wanted her old life back, right? She wanted all of his attention rather than it being split. Oh my God.
This didn't make any sense to Tristan. He didn't see why Amy would say such a thing to a dead girl.
It makes sense.
However, as he studied Amy's face in the video, he realized she didn't look as sad as she had been earlier on during the burial. In this one moment, her face was relaxed and there was a smile at the edge of her lips. Tristan felt his hand shake terribly, almost dropping his phone. He immediately scrolled to the video that had been made on the day of the accident. And as he watched, his eyes welled up with tears again. The first thing that struck him was that Leila had not played ball that day. Instead, she held a tea party with Lolly and her other dolls. The tea party had taken place on the porch far away from the road. As he kept watching, he watched as Amy came up behind her with the ball in her hand. With shock, he watched his wife throw the ball into the road. Amy then tapped Leila on the shoulder and asked her to go get the ball. With a smile bright enough to light up a room, the little girl picked Lolly as she got up and hurried out onto the road. She looked left, she looked right, and looked left before crossing. She then ran across to pick up the ball. She watched carefully before crossing back and she handed the ball back to Amy. Just as Leila was about to return to her tea party, Amy stopped her. And suddenly, the video file went haywire just as the revving of an engine filled the audio, and then the doll was wrenched from Leila's grip. Then the video went blank. For a long time after that, Tristan sat there like a dummy. His head was blank as he struggled to process the information he had just received. Everything he had been told was a lie. Leila never played the ball into the road. She had been pushed into the oncoming car. It wasn't an accident, it was intentional. He had never told Amy that the doll had a camera, so she never suspected it would record her. Suddenly filled with energy, he surged to his feet and hurried to his car. He then drove straight to the police station. As he slid through the traffic, he remembered Amy's account of the accident. She had sworn that she didn't see Leila get into the road until it was too late. He just couldn't understand why she would harm such a sweet soul. He got to the police station and immediately showed them the videos. An investigation was launched at once. Dashcam footage of the car that hit Leila and CCTV cameras in the vicinity of the accident were retrieved by the officers, and to everyone's shock, they saw that indeed, Amy had taken Leila's life. She was arrested immediately and bundled to the station. All through the journey, she screamed and raged at the officers, threatening thunder and brimstone if they didn't release her. At the station, as she was bundled in, she fought fiercely against the officers, screaming obscenities because she didn't want to go in. She was eventually taken to the investigation room for questioning, and the police inspector wasted no time grilling her. At first, she denied that Leila's death was an accident. She cried and wept, saying she was careless and should have watched over the little girl more. No one bought her act. The inspector then showed her the videos recorded by the doll. She was visibly shocked by this, but she immediately recovered. Afterward, she claimed that the video was fake. It was on the cloud, and anyone could access it and put whatever they wanted on it to frame her. However, when the inspector showed her the dashcam and CCTV footage, she realized that the game was up. She began to cry for real. She fell to her knees and clasped her hands together as she pled for mercy. She claimed that she never meant for it to go that far. Ever since Leila came into Tristan's life, he changed totally from the man she fell in love with, and it pissed her off. He no longer wanted to party and travel around.
Yeah, bro, I saw that from a mile away, bro. Listen, a mile, like, as soon as she started saying, oh, I miss partying, this man he just became like a grown man for the first time in his life, okay? Yeah, he's done with that. He wants to take care of his daughter. That's what he wants to do, right? Wow, you married a city girl, my brother. That's what you did. You married a city girl.
He no longer wanted to spend money and have fun as they used to. And as if that was not enough, he started to work and also wanted her to work as well, which was something she couldn't take.
She wasn't gonna work, bro. Stop playing.
Taking care of Leila took all his time and attention, and she hated every minute of it. She regretted the day she agreed to take Leila in because that was the day she lost her husband. It all came to the fore when she managed to read his will one day, and she found that he had willed half of everything he owned to Leila. Amy didn't like that one bit, even though she was getting the other half. She felt she deserved to get everything, and Leila wasn't going to take it from her. After all, she married him for his money and the fun life he could provide for her.
Like, listen, there are people that say, don't stereotype city girls like this, right? Bro, as soon as she started showing the wild, ridiculous traits, it was pretty obvious, right? We knew all we had to know about her, guys. I'm telling you.
As Tristan heard,
there was nothing deep, none of that. We knew exactly what it was. Straight trophy, bro.
the confession, he felt sick to his stomach. He couldn't believe that the woman he loved and trusted ended up doing such a horrible thing. She never loved him from the beginning and had only been with him for the money. He swore there and then to help with the investigation to make sure Amy got the punishment she deserved. After a series of trials, Amy was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. The news of her treacherous act spread like wildfire, and for a long time, it was all the embattled community could talk about. Tristan found it difficult to move on from the tragedy, and for a long time, he was unable to function properly. He decided to honor Leila's memory by building an orphanage in her name. In this way, he would be able to take care of more kids like her. He poured his entire soul into it and made sure it was a place where all children would feel safe. It was only after all this that he was able to think of Leila without being burdened with guilt. What a tragic story. But I'm glad that Tristan was finally able to get the happiness and closure he deserved. What do you think about Tristan's decision to build an orphanage? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button.
Oh my, that was a roller coaster. Okay, that was an absolute roller coaster. I'm glad I encountered a story such as this, guys. Right? I just can't imagine something like that happening to someone, bro. Imagine you get with let's say a partner, right? A brand new person, and is being introduced into your life, and they like you this one way, and then all of a sudden you start changing for the better. To be honest, right? Bro, that is absolutely wild. This is gonna haunt me, guys. This is gonna absolutely haunt me. I'm not sure if I like the fact that I'm apparently about to be haunted now. All right. Oh, guys. Whoa. Guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. All right? Let me know. What would you do? Initially, again, the camera in the bear and then giving it to the young girl, it sounded weird, guys. I'm just going to be honest. Just outside looking in here, it absolutely sounds like a weird thing to do, and I'm not sure that I would generally back that. But this, it turned out in a way that if it wasn't there, things would have been crazy. You get what I mean here? But all right, listen. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.